Part 1. Guard the gate of your mind. Engaging hook. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world grows silent even for just 1 second. In that silence you hear a voice deep inside you asking a simple question. Are you going to rise today, or are you going to repeat yesterday? That single question becomes the turning point between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one. And your answer begins long before you take your first step. It begins in your mind. Part 1. The greatest achievers in history did not wait for perfect days before they changed their attitude. They shaped their attitude first and watched their lives follow. They understood something most people never realize. Your mind is the command center of your destiny. Your mindset is the architect that designs the structure of your future. A positive mental attitude is not the reward for success. It is the cause of it. Imagine waking up early in the morning. The world outside still feels uncertain and heavy. The sun has not fully risen and you have not spoken a single word yet. But inside your mind a silent battle has already begun. It is a battle no one else can see. At the gate of your thoughts a long line begins to form. Doubts stand at the front. Behind them you see fears waiting for their chance. Complaints whisper loudly. Worry taps its foot with impatience. They want entry. They want control. But here is the truth. You are not a helpless observer. You are the guardian standing at the gate. Nothing enters without your permission. This is where your power lives. This is where your life begins every single day. A positive attitude does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It does not mean smiling while you ignore your problems. It means facing the truth with courage. It means building inner strength piece by piece like armor. It means refusing to let fear or anger or jealousy take over the space inside you. When you put on this mental armor, you are not escaping reality. You are meeting it with power and purpose. Think about the goals you have. The dreams you hold close. The version of yourself you want to become. All of it depends on what thoughts you allow to grow in your mind. If you keep feeding your mind with negativity, it will poison everything you try to build. That poison spreads into your decisions, your relationships, your work, and even your words. Before long you discover that the biggest enemy you face lies inside your own head. But there is good news. You can change this. You can take back the pen and rewrite the story of your life starting today. The moment you choose to guard your mind fiercely, everything begins to shift. You stop being a victim of circumstances. You become the architect of your future. You stop waiting for the world to save you. You start rising with the strength you already have. Why is this important? Because the world will always offer you reasons to feel weak or defeated. There will always be setbacks. There will always be challenges. There will always be people who doubt you or try to pull you down. If you do not learn to master your thoughts, every small problem will push you around. Every disappointment will shake you. Every failure will make you question yourself. Only those who learn to control their inner world can stay steady even when the outer world becomes chaos. The greatest victories are won inside the mind long before they appear in real life. So how do you begin? Start by refusing to be passive. Do not let your thoughts wander without direction. When a negative thought appears, challenge it. Ask yourself a powerful question. Is this thought helping me grow, or is it hurting me? If it is hurting you, replace it. Replace it with gratitude for what you have. Replace it with determination to keep moving. Replace it with a calm reminder that you are stronger than you think. This is not lying to yourself. This is discipline. This is mental leadership. This is how you take control instead of letting the world control you. Every morning your life begins at the gate of your mind. Stand guard. Be firm. Let only the thoughts that make you stronger enter. Feed your mind with ideas that lift you. Surround yourself with people who inspire you. Speak words that raise your energy. Train your mind the way a warrior sharpens his sword. Inside every person there is a story being written. Maybe some chapters of your story were written by others. Maybe people around you told you who you were supposed to be. Maybe society handed you limits and called them facts. Maybe someone convinced you that fate is stronger than willpower. And maybe you believed it for a while, but today you have a choice. You can stop the old story right here. You can rewrite the story of your life with a single decision. Your attitude, not your circumstances, is your true inheritance. Your mind, not your environment, shapes your destiny. This is what every great thinker, every successful leader, and every unstoppable dreamer discovered. Your inner world creates your outer world. When you allow people or circumstances to write your story, you begin to feel helpless. You start living with the brakes on. You wait for someone to save you. You hope luck will come and lift you. But the truth is simple. The world does not reward those who surrender to self-pity. The world respects those who rise even when they are tired, even when they are afraid, even when they have been knocked down. Real positivity is rebellion. It is the inner voice that says not yet even when everything feels dark. It is the stubborn refusal to let failure decide your worth. It is the fire that keeps burning even when the wind is strong. When you stand tall despite your challenges, you prove that your spirit is greater than your circumstances. But change begins with awareness. Start noticing your thoughts, especially during difficult moments. Notice when you complain. Notice when you blame others. Notice when you expect someone else to fix your life. These moments are your alarm. They tell you the old script is playing again. When that happens, stop. Take a breath. Then ask yourself a better question. What can I control right now? The answer might be small. But small steps create big transformations. This is where true power arises. This is where your new life begins. Guard the gate of your mind. Decide which thoughts deserve to stay and which ones must leave. This is the foundation of every great success. This is the first chapter of your transformation. And it begins today. If you want, I can continue with part 2 in the same Napoleon Hill motivational story style. Part 2. Transform reaction into response. Engaging hook. There comes a moment in every struggle when your emotions rise before your wisdom can speak. In that moment you are tested. Will you surrender to the storm inside you, or will you master it? The answer to that single question decides whether life controls you or you control life. Part 2. Every person faces moments that shake them. Plans collapse without warning. People say things that cut deep. Circumstances twist in ways that feel unfair. Life has a talent for pressing every emotional button you have. It can pull you into anger, sadness, frustration, or fear with almost no effort at all. This is the reality everyone must face. But what separates the strong from the weak is not how many problems they encounter. It is how they choose to respond when those problems arrive. Most people drift through life reacting to everything around them. They hear something rude and they explode. They face a disappointment and they quit. They feel ignored and they sink into self-pity. They let circumstance become their master. Every emotion commands them and they obey. This is not living. This is a kind of slavery where the chains are invisible but the weight is real. Others learn a different way. They learn the art of response. They understand that the world will always try to push them off balance, yet they do not fall easily. They know that every problem carries a hidden lesson. They know that every trigger is a chance to build strength instead of losing it. Their attitude becomes their shield. Their mindset becomes their compass. Their choices become their liberation. This mastery does not come overnight. It is not learned in a single moment of inspiration. It is built the same way a fortress is built, brick by brick, through small, consistent acts of self-control. When something upsets you and you choose to pause instead of reacting, you lay a brick. When anger rises and you breathe deeply instead of shouting, you lay a brick. When fear whispers in your ear and you move forward anyway, you lay a brick. Over time, those bricks become a strong foundation. They become a mindset that cannot be shaken easily. The truth is simple. Your real strength begins long before you take any action. It begins in the quiet place inside your mind. It begins the moment you refuse to kneel before fear or doubt. It begins when you refuse to let the world decide who you will be. The moment you say, "I will choose my response," you take back the power you once handed away. You stop being a character carried by the plot, and you become the author of your own story. So if you want to transform your life, start by transforming your attitude. Refuse to let the world or anyone else define you. Use each day as a new page, a chance to write your own script. Do not drag yesterday into today. Do not let old disappointments hold power over your new beginning. You have the right to start fresh. You have the ability to think differently. Your mind can rise even when your circumstances have not changed yet. Life will always test you. Someone will say the wrong thing. A plan will fall apart. A challenge you never asked for will suddenly appear. These moments are not punishments. They are training. They are opportunities in disguise, waiting for you to see their value. Some people collect scars and grow bitter. Others collect lessons and grow stronger. The difference is attitude. A positive mental attitude does not pretend everything is easy. It does not deny pain or ignore struggle. A positive attitude sees difficulty as a teacher. It asks, what can this moment teach me? It asks, who can I become through this challenge? It asks, how can I rise instead of break? This attitude turns adversity into wisdom. It creates growth where others see only loss. If you simply react to everything around you, you give the world the power to shape your life. When you react without thinking, you are pulled in every direction by forces outside your control. But when you pause even for a moment and choose your response, you step into authority. You become the leader of your own mind. You begin to live based on your values, not your impulses. That pause becomes your freedom. It opens a space between what happens and what you choose to do about it. How do you begin mastering this art? It starts with one simple practice. Pause. When you feel anger rising, stop. When sadness floods you, stop. When frustration tightens your chest, stop. In that single moment, ask yourself a powerful question. What would the strongest and wisest version of me do right now? Picture that version of yourself clearly. Imagine their calm presence, their steady mind, their patience, and their inner strength. Then act as if you are already that person, even if your emotions tell you otherwise. This practice builds a new habit. Over time, the pause becomes natural. It becomes your new way of living. You find yourself less shaken by sudden problems. You find your mind more stable. You find your decisions more thoughtful and more powerful. Your life stops feeling like a series of emotional storms. It becomes something you shape with intention and purpose. Hardship is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Pain does not visit you for no reason. It reveals the cracks that need strengthening. It exposes areas where growth is needed. It pushes you to develop qualities you did not know you possessed. The strongest steel is created in fire. In the same way, the strongest mind is strengthened by adversity. When a setback arrives, do not ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? When plans fall apart, ask, what new path is opening? When you feel weakness rising, ask, what strength this moment is trying to build? This is how wisdom grows. This is how champions are made. When you look at adversity through this lens, something incredible happens. Pain loses its power to break you. Challenges lose their ability to control you. You become the one who decides what meaning each moment will hold. You stop being shaped by life. You start shaping life from the inside out. Every problem, every setback, every difficult emotion becomes part of your training. And every time you turn reaction into response, you rise a little higher. You build a mindset that cannot easily be shaken. You build a spirit that refuses to bow. You build a life guided not by fear but by purpose. This is the power of a positive mental attitude. This is the foundation of a champion. And this is where your transformation begins. If you want, I can continue with part 3 in the same Napoleon Hill story style. Part 3: The habits that shape a destiny. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must choose between the easy path and the meaningful one. Most people step toward comfort without even noticing it. But a rare few pause, look deeper, and ask themselves a powerful question. What kind of person do I want to become? That question changes everything. It marks the beginning of real growth. Part 3: Jacob learned this truth the hard way. He was an ordinary man in an ordinary town, but he carried inside him a quiet hunger. He wanted to rise, to build a better life, to feel proud of the person staring back at him in the mirror. Still, every time life pushed him, he had a habit of complaining, comparing himself to others, or surrendering to frustration. One cold winter morning, as Jacob walked to work feeling defeated, his old mentor Mr. Hayes stopped him. The old man studied his face for a long moment, and then spoke words Jacob never forgot. Your future is being shaped right now, not by your dreams, not by your plans, but by the habits you choose every single day. Those words unsettled Jacob. He wanted to believe that wanting something was enough. That desire alone could carry him forward. But deep down he knew the truth. Desire without discipline is like a seed thrown on stone. It cannot grow. That day, Jacob made a promise to himself. He would stop looking for lightning bolt moments and start building brick by brick. Not with perfection, but with consistency. Not with emotion, but with intention. The first lesson he learned was this: every reaction is a choice. When life pressed him, he no longer allowed himself to explode in anger or sink into helplessness. Instead, he paused. He took a breath. He asked a better question. What can this teach me? What can I control right now? At first the pause felt forced, awkward, and slow. But with time it became a powerful tool. Jacob noticed that the small space between emotion and action held all the power he had been searching for. It taught him self-control. It taught him courage. It taught him patience. One evening after a long day, Jacob felt the old urge to complain. His back hurt. His boss had been rude. His plans had fallen through. But instead of surrendering to negativity, he sat quietly and asked himself the question Mr. Hayes had taught him. What is the lesson here? He realized something important. Every hardship contains a hidden teacher. Pain reveals weaknesses. Failure exposes blind spots. Difficulty stretches the mind and forces it to grow. He understood that if he ran from discomfort, he would run from growth. If he blamed others, he would give away his power. From that moment, Jacob treated adversity not as punishment, but as training. Each challenge became a sharpening stone. Each setback became a classroom. Each moment of frustration became an invitation to rise a little higher. With this new mindset, Jacob began working on the second lesson of growth. He stopped comparing his journey to others. For years he had measured himself against the success he saw on the outside. The perfect smiles, the fancy cars, the effortless victories. But he never saw the hidden struggles behind those achievements. He only saw the highlights, never the hard work. Comparison had poisoned him without his noticing. It had made him bitter, impatient, and blind to his own progress. One day Jacob decided to end the comparison cycle for good. He took out a notebook and wrote down every small victory he had achieved in the past month. Waking up on time. Finishing a task he had avoided. Speaking kindly when he wanted to snap. These small wins filled the page. For the first time in years, he looked at his life with gratitude instead of doubt. He understood something powerful. The only person he needed to compete with was the man he was yesterday. Growth did not come from chasing someone else's path. It came from honoring his own. With this clarity, the third lesson revealed itself. Words shape destiny. Jacob realized that the way he spoke was quietly shaping his world. When he complained, he felt weaker. When he spoke with gratitude, he felt stronger. When he said he could not do something, his mind accepted defeat before he even tried. When he spoke with confidence, his mind searched for solutions. From that day, Jacob practiced disciplined speech. When negativity crept in, he replaced it with intention. When fear whispered, he answered with courage. When doubt spoke, he responded with determination. He learned that the words he planted each day would shape the harvest of his future. The fourth and final lesson came when Jacob decided to embrace voluntary discomfort. He realized that comfort made him slow and soft. It stole his hunger, his discipline, and his ambition. So he began to challenge himself on purpose. Waking early, training his body, doing the task he feared, choosing patience over argument, choosing responsibility over excuses. These choices were not easy, but each one built his strength, his confidence, and his discipline. He discovered that discomfort practiced daily became resilience. It became the steel in his character, the fire in his spirit, the foundation of his future. In time, Jacob changed. He no longer lived at the mercy of emotion, circumstance, or fear. He lived with intention. He spoke with purpose. He acted with discipline. His habits became the quiet architects of his destiny, and slowly, almost silently, he became the kind of man he once only imagined. Because transformation does not begin with grand gestures. It begins with small acts repeated daily. It begins with intention. It begins with habit. Jacob learned that a positive mental attitude is not blind optimism. It is the decision to grow no matter what. To learn. To rise. To endure. To build a life from the inside out. His story teaches a simple truth. If you want to change your life, you must change your habits. You must stop reacting and start responding. Stop comparing and start building. Stop speaking carelessly and start speaking with purpose. Stop seeking comfort and start seeking growth. This is the path to strength. This is the path to freedom. This is the path to becoming the person you were always meant to be. If you want, I can also create part 4, part 5, or part 6 in the same Napoleon Hill style. Part 4. The season of silent strength engaging hook. There comes a moment in every person's life when the world stops applauding, when the noise fades, and you must decide whether you will keep going without anyone watching. That moment reveals who you really are. It is the moment when your strength is no longer measured by what you show others but by what you demand from yourself. Part 4. Ethan learned this lesson on a cold autumn morning when the world felt heavy and the sky looked as if it carried someone's unspoken sorrow. He woke up before dawn, not because he felt motivated, but because something inside him whispered that comfort was no longer his friend. He had spent years chasing quick excitement, waiting for the perfect mood before making a decision, and running from discomfort as if it were a monster. Now he understood that every time he avoided difficulty, he gave away a piece of himself. As he poured himself a cup of coffee, he remembered something his mentor, Mr. Lawson, had once told him. The world rewards the ones who practice strength long before the test arrives. Those who show up only when they feel ready never become masters of anything. Ethan finally saw the truth in those words. His life had been a collection of short bursts, moments of inspiration that faded as soon as they appeared. That morning he promised himself something different. He promised to build the kind of strength that grows in silence, the kind that comes from doing hard things on purpose. He stepped outside and felt the cold air bite at his skin. It felt uncomfortable, but he welcomed it. For the first time, he did not see discomfort as something to escape. He saw it as a teacher. He jogged down the road despite feeling tired, despite the freezing wind pushing against him. Every step felt like a quiet declaration. I will grow even when it hurts. I will rise even when I do not want to. I will not let comfort steal my future. As he ran, his thoughts became clearer. He realized that most people wait for inspiration, but inspiration is unreliable. It visits like a guest and leaves without warning. Discipline is different. Discipline is a loyal companion, a force that shows up every day even when nothing feels exciting. He understood that the greatest achievers rarely depend on their moods. They depend on the habits they have built when no one was watching. They create small rituals that shape their future, brick by brick. When Ethan reached the hill at the edge of town, he stopped to catch his breath. His legs ached and his lungs burned, but there was a smile on his face. For the first time, he felt in control of himself. He felt as though he had taken back power he had lost years ago. The early morning sky slowly shifted from gray to gold, and he stood there, watching the day unfold. It reminded him that change does not arrive all at once. It arrives slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed, until one day you realize you are no longer who you used to be. Later that day, Ethan met Mr. Lawson at the small bookstore where they often talked. The old man studied Ethan's face and immediately sensed that something had shifted. You look different today, Ethan. What changed? Ethan thought for a moment. I decided to stop waiting for the world to make things easy. I decided to make myself stronger instead. Mr. Lawson nodded with a gentle smile. That is a powerful decision. Most people want an easy road, but they forget that an easy road rarely leads anywhere worth going. It is the hard road that builds you. It is the uncomfortable moments that awaken the best in you. Ethan listened carefully. He knew this was not just advice. It was a truth that could change the entire direction of his life. Mr. Lawson continued. When you choose discomfort on purpose, you are not punishing yourself. You are training your mind to stay calm when life gets difficult. You are sharpening your instincts. You are teaching yourself to act with purpose even when the world is not cheering for you. Ethan went home with those words echoing in his mind. He sat at his desk, opened his journal, and wrote something he wanted to remember forever. Comfort is a silent enemy. Discomfort is a doorway. Choose wisely. From that day forward, Ethan began practicing what he called voluntary strength. He woke up early and pushed himself even when he did not feel like it. He spoke kindly even when his pride wanted to argue. He chose gratitude when his thoughts tried to complain. He trained his mind to choose purpose over impulse. At first it felt hard. Some days he wanted to quit. Some days he questioned whether any of it mattered. But each time he pushed through, he discovered a small truth. Strength grows in silence, and progress often hides in the quiet corners of ordinary days. As weeks passed, something remarkable began to happen. Ethan no longer feared discomfort. He no longer saw challenges as punishments. Instead, he viewed every difficulty as an opportunity to sharpen his character. When a problem appeared, he asked himself a new question. What strength is this trying to teach me? This single question changed everything. It shifted his mindset from complaining to learning, from fear to curiosity, from weakness to growth. Suddenly he felt powerful. Not because his life became easier, but because his response to life became stronger. One evening, as Ethan sat by his window watching the sun set behind the trees, he realized something else. He was no longer living for applause or approval. He was living for progress. Silent, steady progress. The kind of progress that does not need validation because it is built from within. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. A quiet confidence spread through him, the kind that comes only from self-respect. He had learned to trust himself, not because he was perfect, but because he kept showing up. In that moment he understood the true meaning of inner power. Power is not loud. Power is not about proving yourself. Power is the quiet certainty that you can handle whatever comes because you have trained your mind to stand firm. As night settled in, Ethan whispered a promise to himself. I will continue to grow. I will continue to choose the harder path when it leads to my better self. I will not fear discomfort. I will use it. This was the season of his silent strength. And with each passing day, that strength grew deeper and more unshakable. He was becoming the person he once only admired. He was becoming the person he was meant to be. If you want, I can also create part 5, title, description, hashtags, or 3 thumbnail words. Part 5. The power of focused action. Engaging hook. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind howling around you, unsure whether to step forward. Most people freeze. They look down at the ground below and see only risk, only danger. But a rare few take that step anyway because they understand something the rest do not. Action, even small and deliberate, is the bridge between dreams and reality. Part 5. Samantha had spent years feeling trapped by her own doubts. She dreamed of building a life that mattered, a life where she could make a difference. But every day felt like treading water. Opportunities passed by, and she told herself she would act tomorrow, next week, or when she felt ready. Tomorrow never came, and soon she realized that her dreams were quietly fading. One evening, Samantha sat on her porch, staring at the stars, feeling the weight of her own inaction. Then she remembered a lesson she had read in a book about the world's most successful people. The secret was not talent. It was not luck. It was focused action. They did not wait for perfect conditions or for motivation to strike. They moved forward, purposefully, consistently, even when fear screamed at them to stop. She made a decision that night. No more waiting. No more hesitation. She would begin taking small, deliberate steps every single day toward her goals. She would act now, even if the steps were tiny. She would act as if her dreams depended on her courage today because, in truth, they did. The first morning of her new life was hard. Her old habits tugged at her like invisible chains. Her mind whispered doubts, telling her she was not ready, that she would fail, that she should wait for something better. But Samantha refused to listen. She focused on a single action, writing down one goal she wanted to achieve this week. That simple act felt revolutionary. It reminded her that clarity comes when you act, not when you wait. As the days passed, Samantha built momentum. She started with small victories. She answered emails she had been avoiding, called people she had feared reaching out to, and tackled tasks she had once put off. Each action, no matter how small, was a brick in the foundation of her confidence. She noticed something remarkable. The more she acted, the more her fear faded. Action had a power that waiting never could match. One afternoon, she faced a bigger challenge. A project she had been planning for months suddenly demanded her full attention, and the fear of failure pressed down on her. Her old self would have avoided it, waited for the perfect plan, or delayed until she felt ready. But her new habit of focused action gave her strength. She broke the project into smaller tasks and completed each one with determination. Step by step, she built progress, and with each step, her confidence soared. She realized a fundamental truth that Napoleon Hill often taught: the mind follows the body into action. When you take steps, your thoughts shift. Doubt and fear begin to lose their power. Momentum builds in ways that words or wishes alone cannot create. Samantha understood that action is more than movement. Action is proof that you are willing to take control of your life. With this insight, she embraced a new principle. Ignore perfection. Focus on progress. Waiting for everything to be perfect is the enemy of success. The world rarely offers ideal conditions, but those who move despite imperfection find their way forward. Samantha learned to treat every mistake as information, every delay as a teacher, and every setback as a test of her resolve. One evening, after completing a long day of focused work, Samantha reflected on how far she had come. She no longer felt powerless. She no longer waited for someone else to tell her what to do or how to act. She had learned to trust herself. She had learned that consistent, intentional action, even in small doses, was the engine of progress. This shift transformed every area of her life. Her relationships improved because she acted with care and presence. Her career advanced because she pursued tasks diligently rather than procrastinating. Her mindset grew stronger because action reinforced her sense of capability. Samantha also discovered another truth. Action breeds opportunity. When you move, doors begin to open. When you wait, even the best opportunities pass silently by. She remembered an early lesson: the universe rewards those who work, not those who hope. By acting, she positioned herself to meet possibility with readiness, not with hesitation. She began to see life differently. Challenges were no longer threats but invitations. Every obstacle was a chance to practice her focus, her discipline, and her courage. She learned to ask herself the right questions before acting. What step can I take today that moves me closer to my goal? What action is within my control right now? By concentrating on what she could do, she freed herself from worry about outcomes she could not influence. Soon Samantha's confidence became unshakable. She had built a rhythm of focused action. Even on days when she felt discouraged or uncertain, she continued moving forward. Her mind became her ally rather than her enemy. She knew that her dreams were not a matter of luck but a reflection of the steps she took, one deliberate action at a time. By the end of the year, the transformation was undeniable. Samantha looked back and realized she had accomplished more than she once thought possible. Not because she had waited for perfect conditions, but because she had embraced action consistently. The small choices she made each day had compounded into remarkable progress. She also understood the final lesson of focused action. Action is not just about doing. It is about intention, discipline, and courage. It is the bridge that connects thought to reality. Dreams cannot survive in the mind alone. They require movement, effort, and the willingness to risk failure. The person who masters action masters their life. Samantha smiled at this truth. She had learned the art of focused action, the secret that the world's greatest achievers understand. She realized that every time she acted with purpose, she was shaping her future, building her character, and claiming her power. Action, she understood, is the difference between wishing and living, and she knew this was only the beginning. The habit of focused action would continue to grow in her, guiding her through challenges, inspiring new opportunities, and creating a life built on courage and discipline. She had discovered that greatness is not a sudden event. It is a series of small, intentional steps taken every day, regardless of fear, doubt, or comfort. Samantha's journey proved one undeniable truth. Dreams are fragile until action strengthens them. Strength grows quietly in practice. Momentum is born in consistent steps. Success is claimed not by wishing or hoping, but by moving steadily, purposefully, and with faith in your ability to persevere. Focused action is not easy. It demands patience, courage, and self-control. But it is the key that unlocks potential, the spark that ignites progress, and the engine that drives life forward. The moment you decide to act, you step into your own power. The moment you continue each day, you build a life that once seemed impossible. Samantha had found the bridge between dreams and reality. She had discovered that greatness is always one action away. One focused, deliberate, courageous action, taken today. If you want, I can continue and write part 6, the final part, in the same style, so that the full 6-part series is complete and ready for your audience. Part 6. Mastery of the Mind and Life-Engaging Hook. Imagine standing on a mountain peak, the wind rushing past, the horizon stretching endlessly. You can see the valleys you have crossed, the storms you have endured, and the obstacles you have overcome. Every step, every struggle, every decision brought you here. This is not luck. This is mastery. This is the life you claimed with your mind, your courage, and your determination. Part 6. The Journey of Change, of building a positive mental attitude, of mastering action, focus, and habits comes to its highest point when you understand one simple truth. Life does not happen to you. Life happens through you. The mind is the command center, and every thought, every choice, every action shapes the reality you experience. David had spent years feeling like a passenger in his own life. He reacted to circumstances, let fear guide his decisions, and watched as opportunities slipped by. He envied others' successes and felt powerless against the storms that came his way. But he also remembered what he had learned from mentors, books, and personal trials. Real power begins inside. True change begins in the mind. He made a commitment to stand guard at the gate of his thoughts. He refused to allow fear, doubt, or negativity to enter without challenge. He spoke words of hope and intention. He treated every difficulty as a lesson, every setback as training. He acted deliberately, consistently, and with courage even when the steps were small. Each day, he reinforced the habits that shaped his character and built his future. Over time, something remarkable happened. His life began to respond to his mind, not the other way around. Doors that once seemed closed opened. Relationships improved because he approached them with patience and understanding. Challenges became opportunities to demonstrate strength rather than reasons to quit. He realized that when the mind is disciplined, life itself becomes a willing partner. David also learned the art of focus. He eliminated distractions, refused to chase every new trend, and devoted himself to actions that aligned with his deepest goals. The noise of the world faded. He no longer wasted energy comparing himself to others. Instead, he measured progress only against his own standards. Each small victory became a milestone, each lesson learned a foundation for the next success. With mastery of thought, habits, action, and focus, David reached a stage many never do. He understood that life is not about avoiding hardship, pain, or failure. It is about becoming strong enough to use these experiences as fuel. Adversity no longer intimidated him. It no longer defined him. He met it with clarity, resilience, and the quiet confidence of one who knows that the power to rise lies within. He realized that the final key to mastery is service. A positive mental attitude is not meant to benefit only oneself. True success comes when you share strength, wisdom, and encouragement with others. By helping others rise, by lifting those around him, David discovered a deeper satisfaction than any personal achievement could offer. The mind that creates abundance for others multiplies its own abundance. By now, every day for David had become a conscious exercise in growth. He paused when challenges arose, asked what he could control, acted with intention, and reflected on lessons learned. He built routines that reinforced his discipline, nurtured his relationships with care, and guarded his thoughts like treasures. Life no longer pushed him around. He moved forward with purpose, knowing that each choice, however small, contributed to the masterpiece of his destiny. This is the moment where the magic of all the parts comes together. Positive attitude, resilience, focused action, habits, gratitude, and voluntary discipline converge into one powerful force: mastery over oneself. David understood that nothing external could destroy him unless he allowed it. He became unshakable not because life had become easy, but because his mind had become strong. He also saw the truth Napoleon Hill emphasized time and again. Desire, belief, and persistence are the engine, but the mind is the steering wheel. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to habits. Habits lead to character. Character leads to destiny. The chain is unbreakable for those who understand and practice it. David's life had transformed from chaos to clarity, from reaction to purpose. He could have waited for circumstances to improve, for luck to favor him, or for someone else to offer guidance. Instead, he chose to master the one thing no one could ever take from him: his mind. That choice reshaped everything. His confidence grew, his goals became attainable, and his happiness no longer depended on outside conditions. As he reflected on his journey, David understood one last lesson. True power is not about controlling the world. It is about controlling yourself. Every victory over fear, doubt, impatience, or distraction is a victory over life's challenges. The strongest person is not the one with the fewest battles but the one who remains steady in every storm. Now imagine yourself in David's place. Picture standing at the threshold of your own mind, the gatekeeper of your thoughts, the architect of your future. What you choose to let in determines the life you will build. Fear, worry, and negativity can enter, or hope, courage, and purpose can take root. The choice is yours. Every day is a new opportunity to decide which thoughts will shape your reality. This is where your power lies. Not in luck, not in chance, not in circumstances, but in the disciplined, conscious management of your mind. If you take control here, the world becomes an ally rather than an obstacle. Your energy is spent creating rather than reacting. Your time is spent building rather than worrying. Remember, no one else can write your story for you. The world will not pause to give you permission. Life will always test you, throw challenges, and tempt you to quit. But those who guard their minds, who act with intention, who persist through discomfort, and who focus on their own growth will always rise. They leave a legacy not because it was easy, but because they mastered themselves. You have the power to be that person. You can take the lessons from this journey, the strategies of the mind, and the discipline of action, and apply them today. Your dreams are waiting. Your purpose is waiting. The mountain may seem high, but every step you take builds your strength. Every thought you guard, every action you take, every habit you form moves you closer to your peak. Your life is yours to shape. Your mind is your tool. Your attitude is your compass. Stand firm, act with purpose, and refuse to let circumstance dictate your path. The mastery of your mind is the mastery of your life. Step into that power today and keep walking forward. If you are ready to transform your life, to claim your power, and to build a future of purpose and abundance, start now. Guard your mind, take deliberate action, cultivate habits that strengthen you, and rise to every challenge with courage. The world will respect your strength, and your life will reflect the greatness within you. Remember to subscribe, share, and comment below. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Your journey of mastery begins with a single choice, a single step, and the decision to never let your mind be anything less than your greatest ally.